Today on Bench Briefs, we're looking at a recent federal court decision that tackles a crucial question for permanent residents facing removal from Canada. The case is Anderson vs. Canada, Citizenship and Immigration 2026, CanLII 17736, and it dives into when and how courts should grant stays of removal while a judicial review is underway. So, what's this all about? Anderson, a permanent resident of Canada, found himself on the wrong side of an immigration removal order. Under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, or IRPA, the government has the power to remove non-citizens, including permanent residents, under certain circumstances. Anderson challenged this removal decision, seeking judicial review, a process where a court examines whether the government's decision was lawful. But Anderson didn't just want the court to look at the removal decision. He also asked for a stay of removal. That means he wanted the removal order put on hold while the court considered his case. The key question: should the court grant that stay? At the heart of this case are a few important legal provisions. Sections 25 and 29(2) of the IRPA deal with exclusion and removal orders for permanent residents, setting out when the government can remove someone and under what conditions. Section 18 of the Federal Court Act gives the federal court the authority to grant stays of removal pending judicial review. But the law doesn't say the court must always grant a stay. Instead, it sets the stage for a careful balancing act. The federal court had to consider several issues. First, should Anderson get a stay of removal while his judicial review proceeds? Second, if yes, what criteria should the court use to decide whether a stay is appropriate? And third, what is the scope of judicial review when it comes to these removal decisions under sections 25 and 29(2) of the IRPA? Let's break that down. When someone asks for a stay of removal, the court doesn't just rubber stamp the request. It weighs factors like the seriousness of the issues raised in the judicial review, the potential harm to the applicant if removed, and the impact on the public interest. Courts are cautious because they must respect the government's authority to control immigration while also protecting individual rights and fairness. In Anderson's case, the federal court looked closely at whether his challenge to the removal order raised serious questions. Did Anderson show that the government might have made an error in applying the law or facts? The court also considered whether Anderson would face irreparable harm if removed before the judicial review was decided, harm that money or compensation couldn't fix. Finally, the court balanced these concerns against the public interest, including the government's interest in enforcing immigration laws efficiently. The decision in Anderson's case clarifies these important standards. The federal court confirmed that stays of removal are not automatic but must be justified on a case-by-case basis. The court emphasized that permanent residents facing removal have a right to a fair process, which includes meaningful judicial review and, when appropriate, a stay to prevent irreversible consequences. At the same time, the court recognized the government's role in managing immigration and the need to avoid unnecessary delays that could undermine that role. Why does this matter? This case highlights the delicate balance between individual rights and public policy in Canadian immigration law. Permanent residents have significant ties to Canada, and removal can have profound personal consequences. At the same time, the government must maintain the integrity of the immigration system. Anderson vs. Canada helps define how courts navigate this tension, ensuring that judicial review processes are fair and effective without unduly hampering immigration enforcement. For anyone interested in immigration law or administrative law more broadly, this case is a reminder that the courts play a vital gatekeeping role. They ensure that government decisions comply with legal standards, and they protect individuals from the potentially harsh effects of removal, at least until those decisions are fully reviewed. Thanks for listening to this episode of Bench Briefs. Join us next time as we explore another important legal case shaping Canadian law and society.